Okay, I'm going live. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the drunkest show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my co-host in the building, my man Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K. Say, Kamala Harris, you a bald-faced lie. Yeah, we calling you out, homie. You say ain't nobody went to jail for truancy in the state of California. Well, Cheree Peoples, she went to jail because her baby school, because she had sickle cell anemia. Vice President, my ass. Say, I want to welcome you to another edition of the War Zone, and I want to say happy Hanukkah, whatever that may mean. And welcome you to the zone, man. And man, I'm on fire tonight, man, because it's right up my alley. It's right up my alley. Today was an eventful day for me because, of course, the trolls came out, and I had to go live and let people know, man, that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, I'm not voting for Joe Biden.
Exactly.
And I mean, they've been on it, boy. I give them credit, but you can't shake the OG partner. I'm not voting for you, man, and that's what it is. I want to turn this over to the Queen because we need to go on and get into this right up my alley. What's going on, Ms. Demetra?
So, hello to everybody. Welcome to, Thursday night's edition of the War Zone. I hope you guys are having a great day. For those of us in Southern California, we're like at about 106 out here, and in Southern California anyway. Cheree, you're up north?
I'm in Southern. I'm in Orange County.
Oh, so you get some of this heat too, okay? So anyway, everybody, please try to stay cool. And as you guys can see, we are joined by a very special guest, Cheree Peoples, and she is going to tell us her story. But as Gary said a minute ago, she actually was a victim of Kamala's truancy policy. As you guys remember, Kamala said on numerous occasions that nobody actually went to jail. Those were her words, and so Cheree is going to say, well, no, that's not necessarily true. And as I spoke to Cheree earlier, we talked for a little bit earlier, we are nonpartisan. So we don't have, well, Gary thinks he's a Republican, but whatever. Donovan and I, for sure, are nonpartisan, so we don't have a dog in the fight. What we are aiming to do today is to tell the truth, and that Cheree's story, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into what it actually means as far as the truancy, the whole truancy system, things we know and things we don't know. And so, Donovan, what say you?
What say me? I have been talking all week about this. I've been looking forward to it. And for those of you guys that don't know, if Miss Peoples is in Orange County, that was formerly a Republican area, and it is very well taken care of, very pristine. But in the news today, actually, Donald Trump's mastermind, Steve Bannon, was arrested earlier this morning. And I know it's a coincidence. All these people, we're going to hire the best people. We're just the best people. And they got him this morning, and we're going to see where that's going to go. But again, I want to thank you, Ms. Peoples, for coming on the show, telling your story, and telling it like it is. I mean, because it seems to me, people always want to cloak themselves in ADOS's story and present themselves as something else to which they're not. And we're not here to bash Kamala Harris, or, well, you can, but that isn't what we're trying to do. We're just trying to show everybody who this person really is. So thank you for coming on the War Zone.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful and I'm so appreciative for having the invite. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to say this here. Many days I walk into schools as an education advocate, and I've had the honor to represent white kids, black kids, all different, ethnicities. But the ones that are very near and dear to my heart are my special ed babies. And that means I'm going to go hard in the paint for my special ed babies. I'm not giving no passes on my special ed babies. But as I've seen on my journey, that I learned that the school system doesn't necessarily care about the special ed children. They just want them for money. They make more money off of a special ed kid than they do off of an honor roll kid, because they put label after label on these kids. They charge the state. And the Houston Independent School District was even caught committing Medicaid fraud, charging the state for services that they never rendered to the kids, compliments of the OG, because I don't play the game. So when I heard about this story, I'm like, man, that's right up my alley right there, man. And the thing is, what we going to do is we going to give you the floor. And the reason you're going to get the floor is everybody's talking about, well, we hating on this black woman. No, we telling the truth. I don't know if you have the clip, Demetria, but I saw the clip where Kamala said that no one went to jail for truancy while she was there. Cheree and Donovan and Demetria, y'all ain't gonna call out. I do it for you. Cheree, tell your story and call a flat out lie right now.
She didn't tell the truth at all. I did go to jail under her policy that she pushed through when she was Attorney General of the state of California. She wanted to say because it didn't happen in her jurisdiction that she was not responsible. But guess what, Kamala? California is your jurisdiction, or it was at the time when you're Attorney General. You're at the top of all your DAs. They are up under you, so they're pretty much take what you say and move forward. So they took her letter and literally listened to her office and pressed hard against Truancy. So she had her hand in the pot from day one.
So here's my question. Your baby was sick. What type of illness did your child have at the time?
My daughter still have sickle cell anemia. It hasn't went away. It will never go away. She was born with sickle cell. It's a hereditary disease. It's the oldest hereditary disease in the world. Yep. So let's understand the history of sickle cell. It's old. It's not a new disease. It's a condition that she caught from me and her father. And it's because it protected me from malaria. And because me and her dad have the traits, because I have the trait, it takes 2 traits to make the actual disease, right, caused her to have the devastating SS condition of sickle cell. So she's been having it since basically 2 weeks old when I found out. And to this day, she's in the hospital right now as we speak because of her sickle cell condition. She missed 200 days of school last year, her senior year. I think she only attended 1 day on campus. Everything else was what we call a hybrid type of thing. But 1 day on campus, she missed 200 days. And this was after. So if she missed 200 days her senior year, yeah, she's a pretty sick child.
So, when I first posted your picture, of course, I got comments, and we saw some of those comments. And the first thing people were saying is she has sickle cell, she could still go to school. Is that true?
That's partly true. Not all the way true. There's different types of sickle cell, just like you may have different strands of influenza, colds. There's different strands. Not all strands of sickle cell affects kids the same. Right. So if you have SS type of sickle cell, can affect especially girls and boys. So depending on if it's a female versus a male, that's one thing. Another thing is the type of sickle cell that they can have can also affect. But I also have something what I call other factors. And these are the things that can contribute to the condition, which is other stressors going on in the household, is things are missing. Her father wasn't there. So she had added stressors that were causing more pain due to those stressors. Not to say it was full like sickle cell, but it added to it. So it made some people have it in their arms. Shayla's was in her legs. So her legs were in a lot of pain, which prevented her from walking. So I call it's like a temporary handicap in a way. So today she can be up and walking, and tomorrow can't walk at all. And then the next day she may not be able to, but the following day she can. And this was during the time where she was growing. And when you grow, your bones hurt. And that was happening to my child.
Demetri?
So what do you say to the people? Because I'm sure you've heard this before. Oh, well, there's got to be more to the story. Maybe she didn't do this, or maybe she didn't do that. That sounds like there's something missing. Well, have you heard that? And if so, what are your thoughts about that?
Oh, I heard that a lot. The thing about it is I did everything I was in control to do. I'm not in control of her illness. I don't know when she's going to get sick. That is something I'm not in control of. And pain is subjective. So you can only feel your pain. I can only feel my pain. And it's not right for me to say if her pain is severe, I can't speak for her. So that's the thing with sickle cell, because it's very painful and you can't see pain. So they look at you and say, oh, nothing's wrong with you. You look okay, and that's the reason. Or she didn't have documents in place. Or, oh, you should have had doctor's notes. The thing about the doctor's notes for me was, number one, I wasn't told that I needed it because she was under doctor's care. But number two, I had letters written. I had a 504 plan. I was in the process. Like I was with the system. And if somebody were to say, hey, Cheree, get doctor's notes for every day that she missed, I can guarantee I could have had doctor's notes. Because if that wasn't the case, then the district wouldn't have overturned 30 of those absences. So the funny thing about it was I was fighting the district on a district level, having superintendent meetings prior to my arrest. So she had documented 40 absences. When it came out and my arrest happened, they only had 20 absences. So they reduced absences due to the fact that I was fighting for them to fix her record. I was getting her record amended. So it's a lot of things in the back that they don't know I was doing. I'm always advocating for her. I had the Sickle Cell Foundation come out to try to speak to the district. I was having mediations. So there were free programs that you can get to allow mediation to happen. I hired educational attorneys. I was doing everything in my power to ensure that my child got the appropriate education for her, even putting in an IEP prior to my arrest. So I did the IEP the year before in November. I get denied in January. They arrest me in March.
So talk about the morning of April 18th, 2013. What happened that day?
April 18th was the day that I got arrested.
Yep.
I remember I had just laid down, took my daughter to school, and my son was up all night, and I was really tired, so I was like, okay, he's asleep. I'm going to take me a nice little nap. And as soon as I was getting that good sleep, when you get to that moment where you know you about to go to sleep, like, I get this, babe, the door. And I'm like, the door? The police at the door. And I'm like, police? You know how you sleep and you still dazed? So you're not sure if they said police or did they say people, FedEx or somebody. So instead of me just looking out of the balcony to see who was at the door, I just went to the door thinking nothing of it. Opened up the door, there's 2 police officers there. And they say, are you Cheree Peoples? I said, no, I'm Cheree Peoples. How can I help you? He said, we have a warrant for your arrest. Warrant? Yeah, warrant for Shayla for truancy. Shayla? Truancy? Huh? And I'm looking at this guy like, I thought I was working with the district. I didn't have meetings. He said, yeah, I came to your house and everything, and just make sure you grab your jacket and your cell phone so you can call somebody when you get released. I said, so you really about to take me to jail, right? And he said, yeah. I said, so you putting handcuffs on me? He said, yeah. It's the law. The law? Putting handcuffs on me for truancy? Like,
yeah.
I thought you just talk to people and fix it, not a criminal case. I go upstairs. I asked him if I can use the bathroom. He said yes. They were trying to be super friendly. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, wow, they're letting me go get my jacket. They're letting me do all these things. So I'm super confused at this point. And he's like, yeah, get what you need. Just make sure you get your cell phone in your jacket. He's very adamant about that because you're going to be process and release. I had no clue on what he meant about process and release because I've never dealt with the criminal system in this way. And I said, okay. I get my things. I head down the stairs. By the time I got to the fourth step, he said, hold on, Miss Peoples, please place your hands behind your back. And that's when I realized it was real. And I said, okay. And he said, no, act like you're praying. And I looked at him. I said, I am praying. Like, it ain't no acting like at this point. And you got these cold handcuffs on me. They metal. It just freaked me out. And then I walked outside, and all I can hear was, and I looked, and that's when I saw all the media. It looked like it was about 150 people outside. Cars, they had the road blocked off. They had people in black suits, like undercovers, and as if I killed somebody. Like they were really hunting for me.
So they did that to you. But somebody go up in a black church and shoot somebody and they take them to Burger King. Keep going.
So they put me in a car. All the windows was like rolled up. I'm in there looking while they're just talking, and taking pictures. I'm like, can you roll the window down? Suffocating in here. And my life ain't been the same since that day. And I went to jail. They processed me. They released me the same day. They told me I had to go to court. I went to court, and I couldn't believe it took me 2.5 years to fight that case on something that I felt like was black and white, clear as day. A child that had sickle cell, who was under doctor's care, who had doctor's letters, mother who was actively advocating for her under her parental rights. So not only did they violate my daughter 504 rights, they also violated my parental rights to advocate her, because I have a right as a parent. And there is laws regarding this that safeguards a parent while they're actively advocating for their children. And that's the part that hurted me the most, because I was actively, prior to them sending my name to the DA. And the funny part is, when I did my research after my arrest, I had a meeting with the school to get the attendance overturned November 2nd. They submitted me to the DA November 12th, 2 weeks exactly to the day that my name got submitted. So they knew exactly what they were doing. Because why would I be in front of the board? I had to go in front of the board members to get these attendance overturned. It wasn't easy to get the records, the documents that was required to actually contest her attendance. Because as you have that right, if anything in your child's records is not right, you have that right to contest what's in there. And they have to go about and fix it. And that's what I was doing. I was actively doing that. And literally, I got it overturned. Now I'm thinking I'm doing it right. And they literally came in, took me to jail.
Hey, well, let me ask you this question. There was a young man also in California, and he was wrongly convicted or something, and he won a $13.1 million settlement. And he was incarcerated, I think, for 7 years. He was wrongly convicted. He won like $13.1 million. And he said that, Kamala Harris, when they were sentencing him, she showed up that day for like the photo op, So, my question is this. It's obviously you were put in a situation where it was staged. At any time during this process, did you see Mrs. Harris come to your case or make a statement in regards to, other than outright lying and telling people nobody got arrested? Nothing of that nature? Oh, wow.
Nothing to that nature at all. Matter of fact, if you really want to hear something funny, while I was doing my trial, they actually changed attorney DAs on my case. Mm-hmm. And they ended up putting a senior deputy district attorney, ones who convict murderers, rapists, on my truancy case to so-called scare me. So they did these scare tactics. in order to scare me. So I want to say her office had to deal with the scare tactic part, not to come to help me. Because what they did was, his name was Cameron Talley. I won't ever forget him, because he used to come into the courtroom trying to bustle his muscle. I'm senior deputy district attorney Cameron Talley. And the judge was had to shut him down about the senior stuff. But he used to, and he was from another courthouse. So I was being, my courthouse was in Fullerton. He came from the main courthouse in Santa Ana. So he wasn't even part of the courthouse that I was actually being trialed at. And my case was still in trial for 2 years. And that's what made it even more difficult, because I didn't have a pre-trial. Every time you looked at my board or the minutes, it's set for Cheree Peoples' trial. Right. So in my mind, I'm thinking we're about to choose the jury. I'm trying to have things like, okay, what I say, not knowing that I can't approach the judge because I have representation. So I learned law while I was in it. I didn't learn it outside of it. I had to listen, understand what they were saying, take the language, go back and Google it and research, because it literally took me 1.5 years to realize that they were adding charges onto my case. So I literally went from maybe 4 counts to like 9 to 12 counts by the time this 2-year mark hit. So they were adding on charges. They wasn't dropping any charges. And it took an angel of me networking to find out that they were adding on charges, because he had access to the court database to see what was I being charged with. So every time I had a court case and they would go behind chambers, that was happening. And then it was weird, because my private attorney and him seemed like they had something going on, and that's when things really got crazy. Wow.
I done been through it with special ed parents, and the one thing I find, real shady as an education advocate, your baby was labeled special needs, special ed. And
she was labeled as a 504 at first.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant to say. She was labeled 504. You were in the process of getting an IEP. And I'm not understanding how you can even put the label on her before you can determine exactly what she needs.
The label they was giving her,
you needed back then, and I was a baby in the game. Boy, if you'd have knew me. See, right now, I'm looking at flights right now. Because if that truancy law is still in effect in California, I'm going to put my in y'all ass.
It's in effect.
Still in effect.
Because let me ask you this here. As a parent, having to deal with what I now call a rogue school system that only uses children to make money off of. After going through all it, and all of y'all need to understand, she fought this for 2 years, and then they dropped the charges. But they had like 9 to 10 counts. So you drop all 9 to 10 counts. As a parent who still has a child in the school system, how much you trust them right now with this process?
Oh, I don't. Especially now with this thing and this virtual thing, it has brought up a whole new world of truancy, which they are now calling virtual truancy, which is very concerning. So if you haven't heard of it, you need to Google it, because it's real. And the school district was calling CPS on families that did not connect to the internet. So if you're in trouble, make sure you're in communications. Make sure you still take pictures of your kids' work, because guess what? They're going to come after you. They're going to send DPS to you, to your house, whether it's the school system, because they mandated reporters. So understand, they're going to mandate report on you if you don't log on to their system. So if they're providing you a hotspot and they provided you an iPad or any kind of tablet, if you don't log on, they coming after you, and it's called virtual truancy.
Well, let me ask you a question. I know it may not be your child, but since we're talking about 504 and special ed kids, does that even make sense if you have a non-verbal child? If you have a nonverbal child that's in special ed that can't feed himself, can't go to the restroom, he can't do anything, how are you going to educate him virtually without the teacher being right there?
You can't. There's no way possible. I mean, if the child is verbal, then the parent is the teacher. It's not the teacher teaching. So they need to teach these parents, because it's not the parent. There's no way that the child is going to learn without proper resources. There's no way. And I still have a special needs child, and those are some of the challenges that I see, dealing with this situation. It's not good.
Well, I like giving gifts. So I tell you what, you got a special needs, you got one of the top education advocates in Texas at your goddamn disposal now.
Thank you.
It's called trouble in the state of California.
Yes, we got to stir up a little trouble sometimes so we can go ahead and get some better results.
I ain't scared, and I know every law, especially the federal laws when it comes to those special needs children. With the way that crime has been throughout our country, and even back then, crime was what it was. How did you feel the way that we know they staged it? Because there's no way in hell that the media is going to know unless a press release went out.
Right. And
so the thing is how did you feel knowing that, okay, you got child molesters running around here, you got folks killing folk around here, and this is the way that you come to my house?
It's horrible. It's not even just the way they came to my house. It's the fact that they wanted to give my child probation officers. It was the other labels that they were giving her that I will not allow them to give her. She don't need a probation officer. Why does she need to be in this particular system when she's a sick child? That's the part that I didn't understand. Why are you labeling my child, oh, she's going to be a murderer, she's going to be a gang member, she's going to be all these things in the county in which her mama's not even from. I'm not from Orange County, so I don't even know if there's any gangs, black gangs related out here, because I never heard any. Now if you take me back to LA, then we all know the hood in LA.
Right.
But as far as Orange County, I don't think not one black person can name a true gang in Orange County. And it just blew my mind on the fact that they were trying to give my child probation officers and felt she was going to be a criminal, that she's going to be a menace to society. And this young lady is a bright child. She got accepted to one of the top schools in the nation, one of the top 500 schools in the nation. And it's Troy High School in Fullerton. You can look it up. They are one of the top magnet schools. So for her to be at a really predominant, very good, strong high school, because my arrest happened when she was transitioning from elementary to middle school. So it has been some time, has elapsed since my arrest. But at the same time, it's like looking back on it from now until then, like, why would you want to give her a probation officer when this baby is ill and she's sick and she needs encouragement? She needs to find a way to keep her home and healthy versus stuck in a hospital where she's losing out on society, she's losing out on friends, she's losing out on social aspects, she's losing out on her childhood. Like, those things are more important to me than anything, than to have to say, oh, she need a probation officer because she's missing school and she's sick, and now she needs to go to court because they looking at her like she about to go rob a bank. Like, I don't understand that. That's the part that hurt me the most, is the fact that they were looking at her as a gang member. She's not a gang member.
Wow.
That's not the truth. She's not that.
So, we've all, and most of us probably heard the clip of Kamala basically saying that this truancy law was necessary because it is a known fact that kids who are truant from school end up going on a path of crimes and they turn into criminals, for lack of better words. And we also heard her say, and parents who aren't in compliance, we are going to come down on them with, to the fullest extent of the law. Were you in the know of any of that before it actually happened to you? Because I guess, this was something she was really proud of, that she was going to exact upon people. And then secondly, do you believe that black and brown children were targeted due to this policy?
I do believe that brown kids and black kids were targeted because a while ago they did a thing to where if you can pay for your child to miss school, so if you can afford your child to miss school, you can go ahead and pay for that day and they can be okay, because they didn't target what they consider South County. So people don't realize that Orange County is a pretty big county like LA, but it's divided. Okay, you have what you call South County, which is like Newport, all the grittier areas, but you also have North County. North County is the lower poverty area. People don't know Anaheim is considered in the lower poverty area.
Real quick. By the way, you guys, Anaheim is where Disneyland is located. So.
Yes, Anaheim, literally next, right behind Disneyland is low-key the projects.
Exactly.
Okay, so most people don't know it's in the hood. Right. It's the hood of Orange County. You will see what you see in Watts. The shoe on the line, you know you in the hood. Yeah. You go right around the corner, you go see that shoe on the line.
That's it.
Because my son, she's like, Mom, what is that? It's the hood. It's the sign that you in the hood. But yes, Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm is in the hood too, because it's in Buena Park. Yep. Santa Ana, most people kind of know about Santa Ana as predominantly Hispanic, but those areas too has Hispanics in it. But that was the area that was targeted. Mm-hmm. It was the North County, not South County. And you don't hear Orange County spoken of in this manner, only within Orange County. So people that live in Orange County will be like, oh yeah, I'm from the north, or oh yeah, you live on the south. It's like that when you live it, but not from the outside perspective, don't know the lingo of, yeah, they don't know. They kind of look at Orange like, oh, you live in Orange County, it's all bougie. No, it's not. It's not all bougie. Most of it is the hood. Well,
I can say this, even though, you're, talking the truth about that, I can't afford to live in the hood in Orange County. That's where I'm out in Riverside and Moreno Valley. So
it's not too much of a difference between LA and Orange. It's not that much. It depends, but you can find some diamonds in the rough, though. That's what I like about it. You can find some diamonds in the roughs, but for me, it's home. I love it. Despite of what I went through, it made me the woman that I am today. I couldn't be so much prouder, to be where I'm at. Because if it wasn't, then I wouldn't have this opportunity. Right. I wouldn't be able to change the world and change the laws.
Right. So let me ask you this real quick. That happened in 2011. Some time ago. You went through the process, and you're probably still healing from that process. But the main thing outside of what happened to you is, I'm curious about, now your daughter's older, and she's probably heard the stories, and how did that affect her?
She had a stroke, actually. Oh, wow. My daughter had a stroke at the age of 13. So literally a year after my arrest, my daughter had a massive stroke. So to this day, we are still dealing with the effects of her stroke. It still kind of affects her. Woo! Not only did it affect my daughter, just recently I was having a conversation, and my son is only 7, and he was like, Mom, you went to jail? Mm-hmm. You got arrested? I am so hurt, Mom. And it just like,
it breaks you down.
It just blew me away. He was like, what did you go to jail for, Mom? So now I'm at the place to where I have to have conversations with my son regarding what happened to me. So what I'm realizing, not only did it affect, my now 18-year-old, but it's affecting my 7-year-old, who was only 3 months at the time of my arrest. So he was actually born. He was only 3 months old. And now that the story is like resurfacing and I'm talking about it, and he's hearing me, talk and say, oh, Mommy's working, Mommy is doing this, and Mommy is doing that. He's just questioning now. So it has tenfold been a life change for me. Wow. I don't think I've been stable ever since. I've been homeless since my arrest, just in and out of transition, because during my arrest, during my trial, I could not have a job. Right. With nobody hire me because of my background, and now I have an arrest record. So now that's something that I have to clear up. So the thing about this truancy is, it's a criminal offense. You're criminalizing parents, and that hinders them from caring for their family. So now you're extracting the parent, which is the breadwinner of the family, and now what's going to happen with the child, right? So that means the child is still, whether you're looking at it from the probation side or DPS side, now they're being snatched away from the home to be placed in the system. So either way is a pipeline. It's like a schematic web. I don't know if you ever did those little webs in elementary school, and you have you in the middle and it goes out this way. That's exactly what it is. So no matter how you try to chop it up, it's going to come at you from one particular system or another.
Right.
What I tell you what, man, oh man, I wish I'd have knew you back then. I promise you I'd have gave him a business. But I'm gonna challenge you, good people out there. I put Cheree's cash app up.
Stop.
And we gotta help our people, man. We gotta help our people. I challenge you. I don't care what you can send to that cash app. I know the three of us, we some blessed individuals, so each one of us decided to send her $100. We're not saying that you have to send her $100. I'm saying show the sister some love, man.
Exactly.
Let me explain this to you. You supporting demons who champion and create laws that separate families, that affect families mentally, physically, and psychologically. You don't understand why I can't forgive this person for doing that. Because I'm in them schools every day battling with the Cherees and her babies. I see what these people do to our people, man. So, and then I'll pass it to Demetri, because I'm sitting here just like, I'm upset. I need to challenge you good people, man. Anything, send it. Anything. $1, $2, whatever, man. Send it to this sister, man. She lost everything when this happened. And y'all sitting there thinking about voting for this demon. Be careful what you wish for.
And I was listening to Cheree, you talking about the school to prison pipeline. It's like, okay, so they wanted to avoid that, the school to prison pipeline, which, we already know their underlying motive, but they're actually creating one for the parent. So you're trying to keep the child out of the prison, pipeline, but you put the like you said, the breadwinner, the parent in there. It's like, make it all make sense. What's really going on here? And I don't think people really realize what it means, especially these private prisons. They have to guarantee a 90% occupancy rate. And so how do they do that? They go to our communities, black and brown communities, and they level these ridiculous charges on them. And the other part that people don't really talk about is, what is a $1,000 fine that you were supposed to pay, I guess, for your child being truant or go to jail? So where did that? How did that play into your situation?
Well, for me, the whole entire system it's no joke. No matter how you try to get help or you need help and you say you want to go to the CalWorks office and you need some money to help you in a traumatic time, what people don't realize, that's also a way on how they get you, because you're mandated at this point. So you have to turn in your report card. You got to turn in your immunization record just for you, a couple of dollars. And if you don't do these things, you won't get it. So they can still look at you and see everything that you do, and they have to report on you. The schools have to report on you. If you get CalWorks, they have to report on you. If your child is sick, the nurses and the doctors have to report on you. So everything is getting reported on you. What I call it is, I'm no longer her parent. I'm not her parent because I have to share her with the state. So for me, it's as if we're co-parenting here. We have to figure out a way to co-parent because she's a ward of the state. I'm not. It's because all the services are governed by the state. So therefore, she's more of a ward of the state than she is my daughter. Because guess what? She's in the hospital. That's state funded. They're mandated reporters. When she go to school, they're state funded. They're mandated reporters. Her illness is mandated. Sickle cell as a whole is mandated. So we're watched no matter what you do. And it's not an easy governing thing when you're trying to figure out a way and get services for your child when they're actually looking at you as a criminal and not as an advocate, not as a person that want help. Because if they will give the services, I would have been willing to get the services. But services wasn't ever offered. What offered was jail. Wasn't nothing else offered to me. Take her to school, or, oh, you can plead guilty. That's what they said. You can plead guilty, come back to the court 6 months later, and then talk to the judge, and they may drop your charges.
But by guilty, then you got something on your record which would stop you from getting a job or background check, all that other stuff. So it's like, let me tell you guys out here now. I'm in Riverside, California, Southern California. Not far from Miss Peoples, and I'm gonna tell you guys this: when Kamala Harris was the Attorney General here, she was a cold piece, and a lot of people do not understand. Because you guys didn't live in this state, she was one of the worst attorney generals in California history. I mean, it was no joke.
Now that this is coming back up, of course, you're going to get people wanting to interview you, and it's bringing tears to my eyes.
It is.
Oh, I'm serious about this advocate, man. I'm being serious. I'm going to be honest with y'all, and y'all forgive me. I ain't gonna curse. But I was slapped out of one of the people behind them kids, man. Yeah. That's how serious it is to me. And I see what they do. Of course, you're going to get interview requests and different things like that. If you could tell Kamala Harris one thing right now, what would you tell her?
Be honest. Tell the truth. It's okay. I forgive you, but be honest. We humans make mistakes. I'm a peoples. We supposed to be for the peoples. How can you be for the people when you ain't even for me? And my last name is Peoples. Legally, my last name is Peoples. I was born with that name. So if you for the people, why not be for the peoples? For me, Cheree Peoples, because I didn't deserve this. I deserve a written apology, not unintentional consequences, because what was unintentional about it was the fact that you got caught up in your lives. Be truthful and not go on, our circuit, BET, all of our black entertainment platforms and sit and say literally, oh no, I didn't, it wasn't in my jurisdiction. Well, how are you the Attorney General and this is not your jurisdiction? All of it is. That's what I thought, unless you're the DA of just a particular county. But as Attorney General, you're the head boss. That's like the president. There's nobody above the president. There's nobody above her in that state. Like the governor, there's nobody above him. So if you know how this works within the state, how can you not take responsibility? How can you not sit here and say, hey, Ms. Peoples, and have a real conversation with me? Instead of going on this parade and just like nothing happened, or it didn't happen on your watch. In reality, it did, and you allowed it to. Because I was working within the system to help with this situation, talking to my district representatives to let them know. And my district representative was Republican. So, and I went to the head. I went to Brea. I had a meeting at my district. I know. So it's not as if I wasn't trying to be the right constituent and work the proper system, because if that wasn't the case, I wouldn't have been on Channel 7 for it. So if they really want to look at it, I was on the news for advocating for things of this nature. How? Why not have a conversation? Let's come together. Let's talk. Let's amend this. And I'm all good with that. Just go and lie and not be honest and say, yes, I pushed this particular law. I governed for this. I put out that letter. I made the bullhead talk to all my DAs to let them know. because that's what she did. She sent out a massive letter to her DAs to be the bully when it comes to this truancy. She did a whole study. That was her whole platform.